Hello, younger oldie here on this nice sunny day. Today I want to talk about, once again, as mature riders, how we are not a minority. In fact, quite the opposite. Stay tuned and watch the intro.
I've looked into this from various sources, and the average age of a motorcyclist is now 54 in the UK. These fall into a couple of categories: those who took their test years ago when they were younger, and those who have passed their tests more recently. Incidentally, motorcycle sales have been declining for a few years now, not by much per annum, but in 2023 we saw another 2.5% decrease. Now, considering that the adventure style of motorcycle sales has actually increased, now is this a coincidence that this style of bike is favoured by the more mature rider? What did surprise me was that the modern classic sales had also declined, another bike favoured by mature riders. So let's take a look at the reasons. Now, I have covered this part before in another video, so if you've seen it before, please just skip this bit. If not, stay tuned. With the training scheme I volunteer for, we have a steady group of youngsters doing their CBT, and when I talk to them to find out what their next step is, the common answer is nothing. They now have a CBT. Depending on their age, they can either ride a 50 or a 125cc, and that's plenty for them to get to work or college on motorised transport until they can afford driving lessons and a car. It's rare that they want to continue to gain their motorcycle tests. They comment that a car is a more viable method of transport as you're kept dry and warm during our long winter months. And yes, they'll have to take a theory and a practical test, but that's it, with no restrictions. They can drive anything they can afford to buy and insure. To obtain a bike licence, you have to wait until you're 19, then take your theory, your Mod 1, your Mod 2 test, so you can get an A2 licence. It doesn't stop there, as 2 years later you can go for the full A licence, having retook and passed your Mod 1 and Mod 2. Add this to the cost of good protective clothing and lessons, it makes it a very expensive activity. Now, if you wait till you're 24 plus, you can just do one set of tests and then ride any bike you wish. Another reason for the declining bike sales is the lack of advertising on the mainstream media. Yeah, I get a lot of bike adverts all the time on YouTube, but then again they realise that I'm on there a lot looking at bikes, so to some point I am a captive audience. There's also a lot of negativity out there showing people doing daft things on a bike, usually ending up with some form of crash, showing them that bikes are dangerous, and statistically they are more dangerous than riding a car, or driving a car I should say. Having said that, cycling on the road, walking on the pavement is also dangerous if a car mounts it and hits you. So apart from the 16 and 17 year olds doing CBT, the next group all seem to be upwards of their 30s and 40s, and a large amount of 50 plus trainees. All these groups want to obtain a full licence, and as they're over 24, it's easier and less tests to take. A lot of trainees tell me that their mortgage is now only small, the kids have grown up, so they're in a better financial position to afford a bike and keep the car. The bike is not needed as a method of transport anymore, it's now just something they want to own and enjoy riding it. The reason we are mostly cheaper to insure is because we have knowledge, experience, and are genuinely safer. Even if you pass your bike test at 50, the chances are you may have 20 or 30 years of driving experience and roadcraft skills. The average age for having a motorcycle accident in the UK is actually 25 to 34 years old. My lifelong mate of over 59 years now doesn't ride, but his stepson does, and he's been riding since he was 16. But he did his bike test before he did his car one. Now he's now 30 and sometimes rides with his oldies, but he has no other biking friends. None of his mates of his age ride a bike, and he sometimes gets just fed up with riding alone. He wants to tour, and I hope his shift patterns allow him to join us on some of our tours. It'd be good to have some young blood with us. But it just goes to show that not many people his age have a bike licence. Now, even on my small little channel, I have noticed that most of my watched videos have been the ones all about mature riders. So we're not alone, we are the majority, and I think it will remain that way for some time. Could one of the reasons be that more riders around is that a lot of us have had bikes, however small, as our means of transport years ago, but then stopped at all the settling down, having family bit. But I've always wanted to return to biking one day, meaning that we're now already mature when we decide to return to it. So, as history does tend to repeat itself, could this mean that the youngsters now using a bike purely as a means of transport may think to themselves in 30 years' time, you know what, I now fancy a bike again? Sadly, I won't be around to see if this becomes true. Now, let's look at Triumph motorcycles. Now, we instruct quite a lot of Triumph employees. And in the 26 years since I passed my test, Triumph did make quite a host of different types of fed sports bikes. And now, really, the only one they make is the new Daytona. Yes, they do make the 1200 RS Speed Triple. Now, that will perform like a sports bike, but it don't really look like a sports bike. It's not fully fed. It is a naked bike that rides like a sports bike. So they obviously look at their market and say what sort of bikes are needed. Most of the Triumph range are either, cruiser bikes, modern classics, and adventure bikes. And here again, this is bikes which tend to be all preferred by the mature riders. The two main bike meets that I attend are both on a Wednesday morning. So you've either got to be a shift worker or on a day off or be retired to go there. The latter being the most. I think the majority of people at these meets are retired. Those who have got hair, it's all grey. But for me it's good because I can talk to the mature riders, and I do find it quite inspirational and to find topics to make a video about. As I said, these bike meets get absolutely rammed at times when the weather's good. So, as mature riders, older riders, whatever you want to name ourselves, but basically we're not the minority, absolutely far from it. There's more of us than probably any other group out there. So to sum up, be a mature rider and be proud of it. So I hope you've enjoyed this content. If so, please do the ticks to like and subscribe. I always welcome any comments as well. So all that's left for me to say is take care, ride safe, and bye for now.